What is going on, guys? It's your boy GRC. You know we're coming at you live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern, not p.m. Eastern. My bad for switching the time. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. We're coming at you live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. Crypto in the morning. And yesterday I streamed for 8 hours, and it was crazy. And we had Jack, we had Sam, we had Senzu, we had everyone. And it was absolutely a party. And then everyone DM'd me afterwards and was like, the price went down. And I was like, dude, you really going to DM me after I just streamed for 8 hours, tell me the price went down 50%? Like, I don't give a shit. We're going to focus on the numbers, the supply, what this means, what this opens up whales to do. Whale games with the NFTs. We're going to talk a little bit about NFTs, and then we're going to get into the macro. I think we might even talk about a little Andrew Tate today. You know, I'm not a big Tate guy just because I haven't kept up in the last 3 years, but I've seen him and his message, and he just got arrested for something in Romania, and Sam's not buying it, frankly. I mean, that's more or less. more or less, I have no idea. Like, I just like when that came up, I was like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know. But then Sam was like, nope. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Sometimes, but see how you don't go all in on a thought until you have some, like, what if Sam was like, oh, yeah, I heard some weird shit. Like, I would have switched it up, right? But Sam likes Andrew Tate and likes his message. And he thinks it's bogus. And come on, we've seen bogus government conspiracies before around here. Come on.
We offer the cryonic union of science and entertainment.
That intro is awesome with the music, the alien at the beginning. I hope the launch went well. I saw Jack Levin tweeting about NFTs yesterday, and 100+ billion Zen was burnt in a couple hours of launch. That's a lot of Zen. What you figure, like there's 2.4 trillion of that, and within 6 hours, 1/24 of that is burnt, all gone forever. That's actually a little bit more interest than I was expecting. I wasn't sure how that was going to actually play out, and there's clearly so much interest in Zen. It's a fascinating thing here. What do you got up here?
So Sam, this is the Zen NFT Zen Turbo updated yesterday dashboard. It's the dashboard. Sorry, guys, I have a bit of a cold. So let's look what we have here. This is the first time. I just woke up not too long ago. So we have the token ID 6024 up here. Price listed 8 ETH, $9,614. Estimated earnings rate 68%. Cost versus Zen 0.00000200274. So
look at the
arbitrage price. So that what's pulling that price down? There's an arbitrage price to buy the NFTs, guys. That's why we don't draw triangles on this show. I'm not going on the chart, and I'm not drawing any triangles, and I'm not going to confuse you and pretend like I'm smart. I'm going to tell you what's going on underneath the hood, Sam. And you've seen these loops before. You know how they work. So let's talk for a second. We see stuff like this all the time, Sam. We see the price of the new thing with a little less liquidity and a little more shine have an arbitrage point.
I got a message from a friend from the show. I'm going to pull up and read. And he said, let's see what he wrote down in regards to this. Cool. He's not going to do the his NFTs, but what he did do, he was like, batch minting. This is a quoting here. Batch minting is so valuable. 10K made 364,000 due in 2024. It's a crazy world, man. Like he took $10,000.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Batch minter, and at the current prices, right? This is today's prices. In 2024, that's $364,000. And imagine what happens during the bull run on this, right? The
liquidity and the volume show those numbers to be accurate. Like that doesn't seem stupid to you. Because you see the volume. If there's no volume, if there's no liquidity, if there's no action, you would just be like, okay. But that's just not the case, because we see the better analytics than anything on the internet, pretty much from fans only. So, Sam, they put these up for sales, right? So let's say I want to buy this as NFT, right? And it's going to confirm the purchase. Path will be jumped. Buy on Zen Turbo coming soon. Oh, wow. So, but this is the Zen Turbo. So this is a fan-made site. It jumps you. At some point, you'll be able to buy on Zen Turbo. That's what this is. But right now, it'll convert you over to OpenSea, where you can do the auction there. And you guys know that the ERC 721 system is on a completely different system than the ERC 20 system. So they're two different auctions. They're two different separate marketplaces. And it's important to understand that. All an NFT is, guys, is an ERC 721 that is traded on a different block. Well, I don't know exact verbiage, but it's traded on NFT ERC 721 compatible dexes. And that's it. That's the only difference.
There's something interesting here that I think you might enjoy seeing. So
yes, we could do this back in the day, bro.
Yeah, this is good shit, right? Like, so okay, so this is Zen Crypto. This is Google Trends, right? So Google Trends, the largest search engine in the world. So whenever you search for something, whenever you search for something, Google tracks it. So this is worldwide over the last 90 days. Actually, let's do 12 months because it makes it more show you people were never actually looking for this, right? Worldwide, people searching for Zen Crypto. There's nothing here, and then it's spiked and it dropped off here, but now it's actually continuing over this last couple of days. Now, I'm not trying to say anything here, but I'm going to put it.
Does that second uptrend pique your interest? Like that doesn't happen every day. It's just like a full another uptrend, and with all the bear market and everything on search volume, I'm sure.
Look at this.
All right, let's check Hex Cryptos.
So this is also on the web. So this is, but then we'll look at Google. We'll look at YouTube after this. Okay, so Hex obviously has been around for longer, so that's why you see this in the first half of the year. Then the spike of search interest, way more search interest for Zen Crypto, and then it was about the same with Hex having a little bit more. And again, I don't know if Hex is spiking back up because of like the stuff that you shared with me.
Hex is going down to a level that I just don't think people really thought it could go. I thought it could go there. I was alive when it was there, and it wasn't that long ago. But people really just get FUD. But I think the real FUD is that like Richard's under some sort of like SEC investigation or something is what it seems like from the user side. I haven't looked into it really. It's other than the fact that it takes time to work these things out. Legislation can be tricky, and you just got to keep moving forward. Sam said yesterday, loud and proud, he thinks Hex is going to hit all-time highs again, and that pumped up the crowd.
Look at this. So this is just over the last 90 days. So effectively, how long Zen has been out, right? Just a little.
Zen has been out for under 83 days now.
Right. So very, very close. And during this time here on Google, but what's very interesting, check this out. The darker the color, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. The darker the color, that means the more people are searching for that specific thing, whether it be Zen Crypto or Hex Crypto. Check this out. Brazil, they're all looking for Zen Crypto. China, right?
The Chinese love it.
And how many people are in China, bro?
Just just disgusting amount.
Over 1/8 of the entire planet's population is in China.
And a bunch of those rich peoples down in Aussie are vibing with it because they have a lot of economic resource down in Australia.
Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, India.
Dude, this is centralized shit coin.
Which one?
Zen. No, Zen. Zen. Dude, you can see the centralized nature of Zen on the globe chart, being that it's globing up every place. No one speaks a lick of the same language, and that's bullish. I think Jack's really doing a standout job with this marketing. However that looks or feels, like what he created is a marketing machine in itself. And that's the cool part. You're seeing people build on this shit like this thing's been out for a decade. It's been out for 70 just over 80 days.
So put that into perspective. Like Hex has been out for 3 years, right? A little bit over 3 years, and Zen is getting the same amount of search volume as Hex gives it, because a lot of times within 90 days, the hype wears off, right? And it's getting the same amount of search volume as Hex, which has been out for 3 years. Will this continue up? I mean, if you look at the number of holders this
was launched in a bear market, launched in the brutal depths, the bottom, SBF in prison, bottom of the bear market, everything getting rugged.
Yeah. Sweden, Finland. What do we have? I don't think YouTube you can use without a VPN in China, so that's probably why. Japan, Indonesia. What else we got here? Oh, that's still Indonesia. There's a lot of interest over here, right? Where Nigeria? That's actually interesting. Nigeria, fun fact, has the most amount of crypto users per capita. So that's say per 100,000 people. There's the most amount of crypto users out of any country in the world. So they're actually looking way more at Zen than Hex. And obviously in the United States.
But in the US, we could get robbed. Like, like they could just shut your bank account off at some point here shortly. Like, it seems like.
That's on YouTube. That's on YouTube. If you go
yeah.
But no, you're right. I agree with what you just said. I completely
But the US is almost like the worst market to have all your investments in this asset. Because it's just like in this asset class in particular. If this was a tech stock, everyone would be happy as could be. But this ain't no tech stock. This is a cryptocurrency, and it's different. And the legislation around this is forming now. It's forming now. Right now. There's probably some dude writing right now. Like right now. And then they have to write on this. Then they're going to have to come. This is what 70 days of workload can do. 70 days from inception. Total supply, 2,756,000,000. And then we got 2 trillion liquid supply, Sam. Let's talk about these numbers real quick. So we got the liquid supply, 2.6 trillion. That's not that much, right?
I mean, it's $9 million. So in USD value, really, it's not that much. $9 million of USD value is not terrible. A lot of money.
That's all we got liquid. That's all we got. 9 million liquid coins. Now imagine, well, we're not going to compare it to anything, but total stake. So there's a stake feature on this, guys. Remember, a lot of people took those stakes out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then the Zen total gas use since Genesis, 15,819 ETH burned.
$21 million.
Jesus. Vitalik chilling. Damn, good vibes from Vitalik. He's like, what's going on over here?
What do you think about that? So there's 21 million Ethereum in USD terms that have been burnt, but the market value is currently only 8.9 million for Zen market cap. What do you think about that? That means that.
Ask me one more time that full question.
So the cost to mint the 2.7 trillion was 21 million. The market value of Zen as of today is 8.8 million, right? What do you think
So
about
we're
that?
about half. We're about half
Correct.
the value, and that would represent on the chart roughly. Being we dropped that 56% yesterday. Lots of unstakes, lots of people thinking something was going on, lots of people thinking that this is a circulating supply in a market that has all its circulating supply on the market at one time. It's just not the case. It's just not the case with this guy. That's what people don't get. They don't understand the math. They don't remember the whole 8-year FUD thing, like, oh, she's not going to go up for 8 years. They did that for a reason. They did that so that they could protect themselves long term, so that they could protect the distribution rate. You can make a lot of changes when there's an 8-year time frame in a lot of game plan. And who's got the most heart in the game? Probably the founder. Like who's going to come at this harder than him at this point? I don't know. So we got bullish. Bullish, you stayed up late minting NFTs. What was your experience with all of these things?
What's up, Bullish? If Bullish is there, Bullish is
there. He might not be there.
He might. When you're back, just jump on, Bullish. Curious to see what his experience was like. The time it's going to take for demand to catch up to how hyperinflationary Zen is. I don't know how long that's going to take, but with this current growth rate, at some point, it just seems like, and I don't know, could go down forever, right? I have no idea, but it seems like at some point, the amount of demand for Zen is going to eclipse the amount of inflation because it's onboarding new users at such a fast pace. So at some point that is going to eclipse the amount of inflation because inflation is coming down. What is demand going to do? More than likely, the amount of demand is going to increase, right? So if you have the supply going down and demand going up, right? If that is accurate over time, then what does that do to the price? It drives it up. Because at some point, the rate of how quickly users are learning about, coming into, understanding, excited about Zen is pretty incredible from my point of view. Like looking at how quickly something is gaining mind share of people, right? What's happening here, and that's fascinating to me because you don't see things like this very often that grow so quickly. That I have like all of the peripheral social media coming on from other people, and the number of people coming into it are such a high rate, even though the price hasn't necessarily performed, which is very common, by the way, for new cryptos, period. But the price chart hasn't performed, and you still have so many new users dumping in here all the time, which is pretty astonishing.
And the liquidity is just insane. The things that change in the liquidity pools are insane when they come out with something. Zen liquid supply. Today's new supply, 82 million tokens. 82 trillion tokens?
Billion. 82 billion. It looks
billion tokens. Daily new liquidity, 56 billion tokens. Limited supply, 2.6 trillion tokens.
So that's after there was 156, it looks like, burnt of Zen. So what's this one? Zen consumption to the right. Zen consumption. So stakes have been continuing, penalties have been rising, and Zen burns. That's what's represented on this chart here.
Now, this chart is the one that's going to make people bullish. Future supply trends. And if we go to here, let's go to all-time future supply trends. So what do we got? Daily claimables would be the bar underneath. And then the future cumulative claimables would be that bar on the top. So there's the ones that aren't claimed yet, or the ones that aren't up for claim yet. So it kind of gives you that buffer in the middle of where the supply is compared to the future and compared to where it is now. Daily claimable and future cumulative claimables, 1.9%. And I got to look at some of this stuff a little bit more. Estimated supplies are different. So you see the bell curve. We know how these things go, Sam. At the end of the day, Sam, every crypto token is hyperinflationary in one way or another. Period. They just trick you by saying it's not. What do? They just print the entire supply, give 90% of it to one person, and then say, we're going to start clicking down from here. That's hyperinflationary. That all occurred in one day. Okay. That's just, people just don't get it. So when someone says, listen, there's 5, let's use BMBP for an example, because I think they did a really good job with the way they did a lot of the stuff. There's 1 million tokens, right? There's a lot of these tokens that only have this much supply. Some are good, some are bad. This is the one that I like personally. And they tell you, we're going to start burning the supply from here. No real use case other than, we got some different features here in the mining and the minting and the this and that. But everyone that's rich already has what they need. You go fester now, son. And we're going to tell you that the token's going to tick down and you're going to be rich because of that. The truth is I'm going to be rich because of that. Because I know how to deal with this volume. And I'm making 11 grand a day at this point, sitting here holding this whole pool up. So every single token is hyperinflationary at some point. Some people just use critical thinking in their frontal lobe, and they think, okay, this has to stand for more than a year. This has to stand for more. What do I want out of this project? The foundation of these projects really comes out during times of trial. And it's like, oh, what are we all going to go back to? We were all talking about first principles the whole time. All we were ever talking about. But that's the reason this is all fair game. Because when the Senate looks at this, when Congress looks at this, they say, how is this distributed? Publicly, fairly launched. No founder allocation. That's what I'm looking for when the Congress and all them start looking at this stuff and they're like, we haven't seen one like this yet. We don't want those Winklevosses. We know they have all the Bitcoin and that it's burning energy like crazy. It's not scalable either, which they're figuring out. And then something like this comes up, and then Vitalik's happy with it, right? Because it's holding the price of ETH to a different level than Bitcoin, period. 2 different assets in this bear market. One just has 0 resistance. The other one just keeps plopping over. Because there's innovation there. There's real people using it. There's guys like Jack that are burning. It's real. People are doing stuff on it. That's why Ethereum is better than Bitcoin. But this is also launched on 12 chains. So.
It's so early. I'm curious to see how the search interest, right, like on Google Trends, plays out over the next 6 months, right? That'll be a 9-month mark. How is this gaining? Is it stagnating? Is it dropping off? Are people still interested in 6 months, right? I'm super curious to watch that play out.
I don't think Jack can sleep. I don't think Jack can think. I think he's too excited. I think he's more excited than me. I think he's more excited than everyone. And I don't get, people aren't more excited than me ever. And to see someone do it over, and it's real. It's real. It's just real is what it is. It's like, I know what it's like to be excited for a year straight on this show, stoked out on the show. Of course, it ebbs and flows, but
talk to us why you get that sense. Because I think that understanding, you have a different relationship with Jack. Right?
He stays up all night sending his AI art to everyone. He stays up all night sending he's just a nerd. He just thinks this is fun. And I think okay, when you're a man, you can either use everything you have and make the best work of what you got or not. And he decided to come in out of retirement, I'm sure, retirement-ish, and just say, I'm going all in. And we've seen this before, Sam. He's not too old. Like, he's going all in on the most innovative, explosive technology in the history of mankind. Scalable, I mean, maybe not innovative, scalable. And he's excited like a schoolgirl because he sees what we see. Except he's prepared. He worked for Google. He created the click and drag. He's done all of these scaling solutions before. So he's just 100% prepared. It's just an alignment, I think. Just like this channel for me was an alignment. I was like, I think I'm prepared to tell people what I think about reality. And I think that I have really good common sense and good communication skills. I'm going to do this every day. And I know it's going to be good. But he's on a different level where he knows everything about scaling, Google, Elon, all this stuff. That's a different level than me. that's why I'm not building the crypto. I'm not the crypto builder right now. That's not, maybe in 20 years, I'll be the guy that's like, hey, this shit sucks around here. You guys are dumb as hell. You guys, boomers. I'll be calling everyone boomers. And I'll be like, I think we can do this better. And I think this whole one VMU thing is a little shoddy. I think sharding takes care of that. 10 years, like when we're talking different, right? And
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So I'm a little younger too. So it's like, but I got 18-year-olds, 19-year-old Lane. Lane's going to be the first internet president, I think. Lane.
The pace at which crypto has evolved is, I think, going to accelerate, because as more people understand crypto and people think about it from the making money standpoint and all this, which is fucking awesome, and I love it. I get excited about that too. But think about this from the standpoint where when we're having conversations with founders, or I'm, when I'm reading white papers and I'm like, yo, dude, you got to look at this thing, and just because of how innovative it is, people like that stuff. And it's going to continue to suck up the intelligent, talented, hardworking people, because they're excited about the possibilities that come with permissionless access to something. Because right now it's being applied to currency, right? That's going to.
There's no one here. There's no one here yet. I can't even find a bro that knows what the fuck's going on around here, bro. Imagine if you knew everything and you already done a scaling thing, how ahead of the game you would be in that specific way of thinking. Like, because I'm off the street, and I think everyone's frankly a little bit immature with feeling like Uniswap V3 is really that technical, feeling like V2 is technical, feeling like switching from Binance to Ethereum is technical. To me, that is not technical. It is just one button. And it's like and then imagine someone who really knows how to build everything from scratch and start a team, and already has a team, already has bros, already has money, already has all the stuff that he needs, the warehouses, the everything. It's cool, but then we got to securities laws come into this stuff. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted for 1 second. But that fair launch is going to come into play huge. I want to switch it up to the macro before I talk too much.
Yes.
All right, let's play the video then. I really like this video.
I'm excited because I've got some thoughts on this. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the macro, guys. And we're going to talk about the layout for 2023. New Year's Eve, guys. Everyone have an amazing year. Make sure you get your notebooks out. Make sure you write your goals down. You got to write all. Me and Sam do this on automatically. Anyone that's efficient is going to do this somewhat automatically. Takes a little while, and you maybe not doing this when you're 21, 22 as much, but when you're 28, 26, 25, 35, 45, you better be writing your goals down at the end of the year, 100%. I haven't missed this in a few years now because it's just so fundamentally. And whenever you write stuff down, it comes true. And so
do it on a daily basis, not just the end of the year, but
I'm talking about the goals list, like a refreshed goals list, because you always have to tinker with the goals list.
When you're driving down the road and you're driving, right? I'm looking at the road in front of me, and then there's some hot girl over to the side, and I look over here, and what ends up happening? I inevitably end up driving in that direction because that's where my focus is. So the goals, there's fuckloads of research that show if you write down your goals 2 years later versus somebody who didn't write down their goals, right? They took groups of people. They had this group of people write down their goals. They had this group of people write down like what they had for breakfast and shit. 2 years later, the group of people who wrote down their goals had made way more progress in life. And
you can't even do anything if you don't know where the heck you're going.
So now think about that example. They've shown it in the research many, many, many times, and they did it one time. Now imagine doing it every day. That's why I write my shit down daily, because if it's that powerful that you can notice an effect from writing your goals down 2 years later when you do it once, imagine doing that every day. Writing down your goals, how powerful that is.
And it's just a discipline tool as well. Like at the end of the day, I think even writing something is so out of people's discipline realm. Like it's almost like breaking the ice. It's like going to a party for some people, like writing. Like it shouldn't be. And it's not, because it's the most efficient thing to do in that moment. It's whatever. You could type or do whatever. But writing the goals centers yourself. This is all about energy, future projection. You have to understand where you're going. I know a lot of smart people that spend 95% of their time doing things that they think are super smart, and I would never do one fucking moment of in my life. And they probably think they're 10 times more. I'm like, you're wasting all your time, you know. You know that's not even what you care about, you know. Like, you know that's not, you're not going to wake up in the morning next year and want to do that, you know. Like I just like, I'm like running through the list. I'm like, not scalable, doesn't work. Like, and it's like, you're wasting your time. You're the smartest dude. Get busy with what you want to do. But the cognitive dissonance just keeps them in whatever state their mommy told them was the right one. For real though, like, people don't break it. They don't break it. My parents do not like the way I am now as much as they liked me at some other point in my life. I don't give a fuck.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But they don't, I still love them.
Correct.
Like, they still love me, but like they're like, oh, I hope he's safe. This sounds sketchy. I hope he's not buying crypto. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. As long as I'm being nice. Like, guys, let's get into the macro real quick. We got to talk. This is serious.
I've seen so much bearishness. There's never been a time when 60% of economists forecast a recession, and when everyone's on one side, I get very wary. I think there might be some really surprises next year. Let me tell you, 2022 was marked by very good job growth and very poor GDP growth and very poor productivity growth. Firms were hoarding workers because they worried they couldn't get them. I think we may see the opposite next year. I think we might see actually the job market loosen up dramatically, even job losses, but that GDP grows much faster than most people think. And we have a chance, if the Fed pivots, to really avoid a recession and have a good year for profits. Because if productivity comes back, Scott, that puts downward pressure on prices. It puts upward pressure on margins. And everyone who says, oh my goodness, these 2023 estimates are way too high, might be surprised that many of them might turn out to be what profits are going to be.
Well, I listened to everything you just said, and it all makes reasonable sense, I'm sure, to some who are trying to be as bullish as you obviously are yourself. But the four words that we need to discuss further: if the Fed pivots. Those are the four words you used within what you just said, because most people don't think, Professor, they're going to. And that seems to be the whole ball game, that the people who think that stocks are going to do better than many others keep talking about the Fed pivoting, where the Fed seems to be explicit in not only are they not done in the hiking, but they're going to keep rates up before they do anything for longer than people think. How do you respond to that?
I respond to that, Scott, because I was with you a year ago, a little more than a year ago now, the September 2021 meeting, where they said, oh, we're not raising rates in 2022. They were very, very firm on that. Inflation was transient and it would be a mistake to raise rates. Why should everyone believe the Fed? When in fact, the Fed has not done anything that they told us that they were going to do over the last 18 months. Now, I think when this data comes in, we take a look. We talk so much about what's going on in prices. I think the Fed is finally getting it, that its housing indicator is way lagged and that house prices are actually going down. And once you put in actual house prices in those inflation numbers, as I said 2 months ago, really inflation disappears. I think that's going to get through to the Fed. I think more people are going to be talking about it. And let me say, there's 200,000 expected gain in January. I'm not a prognosticator. If you get a job loss or a jump in unemployment rate to 6.8, 6.9, 3.839, you're going to get a different tone from the Fed. They're going to get calls and saying, you know what? The last market that you're worried about which is the labor market, is finally loosening up. And that is the last reason that they have to stay as tight as they are. And I think that that message is going to get through.
Let's just be real here. I mean, you don't trust the Fed. You don't believe the Fed. You don't trust the Fed because of the mistakes that they made in the past. You think they're incapable of following through on what they say now.
I am very disappointed in the Fed. I said on your show and throughout that they started tightening way too late. I think they're loosening too late. I didn't even think the last increase was, called for given the trends that I see. But it finally got through to them that they had to fight inflation. And I think it's finally going to get through to them. And it's a happier message that they can accept that most of their battle is going to be behind us. The pressure is going to be when we see the job market loosen up. I wish it didn't have to wait that long, because I think, honestly, if they stay, if the Fed funds rate goes towards 5% by the middle of this year, I have to be less bullish. But don't you think it's going to go? You just heard the.
I like that professor. That I think that he seems like he uses his head. One of the things that I like to say, he had mentioned GDP and productivity growth, right? How they have both been kind of flat, right? That's what happens in a recession. And there's different ways you measure GDP. So there's basically there's an expenditure way of doing it, there's an income way of doing it, and then there's a output approach. And the way that we don't need to get into the specifics on each one, but these are measures, in my opinion, that are not an accurate representation of the health of an economy or the growth of an economy. I don't think that using metrics that are very old and antiquated represent what is taking place for the majority of Americans today. I just don't think these approaches can be used for GDP. And if you look at productivity, how it's measured in several different ways, labor productivity, multi-factor productivity, and total factor productivity. I don't think that the measures, if you use a measure that is faulty, your answer is going to be wrong. And I think that happens. And then you put on top of this is to back up what the professor was saying. This is actually what I had written down when we were chatting this morning. What the world is experiencing right now is access to a tremendous amount of valuable information that they've never had access before. I would never have had a relationship with GRC 7-10 years ago because this wasn't available. And this, what we're doing right now, I talk to people in other countries every day. Every day I talk to people in other countries. This is never, ever taking place in the history of the world. Now, I'm one human that's doing this, learning from different people around the world at a faster rate than ever before in human history. And you take me and you recognize that there's millions of other men out there that are striving to be better in every aspect of their life every day, who are learning at a rate that has never, ever been experienced before in the history of the planet. Because the access to information, everybody has access to the information. I've got access to people in Africa that I talk to and in Europe that I talk to every single week. I get people across the United States that I talk to, in different countries that I'm talking to on a regular basis. You don't think I can learn faster than you if you're just sitting there in podunk, whatever? Nothing wrong with that, right? But that's
crying about shit.
What do you think happens, right? When you have millions of men, we're the ones putting in the work in the world, right? It's not the
there's no escape valve for us either. Like, there's no one coming to save us. Like, we're very clear on that. Like, there's no one here.
Society. People like us build society.
Yeah, because there's nothing. No one's gonna. What are we gonna do? What are guys like me and Sam gonna do? Stop. What am I gonna do? Go build a cell phone tower? I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. I'm going to sit here and learn everything and keep inviting the biggest and the brightest people on the internet in cryptocurrency on the channel. And I think that'll help me more, frankly. Yeah, and I think the average citizen's okay with 6 months of not having as much funds as maybe they had at a different time. I don't think that's a big problem right now for guys like me. It's just like, it is what it is. Like, I'm making progress. Like, all my numbers are going up. Everything's good. You know, you just got to keep working, and you have to have a goal. You have to have a mission. And the Fed, I mean, I think next year, I'm still on the bullish train for next year, like for crypto. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see it otherwise staying down for a year. I think end of Q1 is when things start to change. And I think it's going to start with innovation. I think innovation is going to force it. I think it's going to get forced. The fax machine situation, like, so I don't care what was going on in the market when the fax machine switched over to email, but people jumped. I'm sure because it was free. It's free to jump over to switch to email.
You know,
it's free to mint some Zen and figure this shit out, basically.
You know, Airbnb and Uber, right? These two gargantuan companies that have a global brand recognition now. They were started in 2008, right? The last recession. And when you like think about how this plays out, you have this one industry, crypto as a whole, that has people that are sharing information, that are learning from each other, taking other people's ideas, because a lot of it's open source. So I can take what GRC is doing, implement it into what I'm doing. Look at what Jack has done with Zen, pulling ideas from here, pulling ideas from here, pulling ideas from here to create something else. And this is happening like that. New projects are launching on like as quickly as like you can count them. They're happening so fast in this industry. So what do you think happens? Whether it starts to have a bull run in the first quarter or second quarter or third quarter or fourth quarter, it doesn't matter. You know where it's going to win in crypto, because in any industry where you have people that are working at this pace, you can't stop it. You can't stop. If I'm working at if I can put out 16 as an industry, if crypto puts out 16 new projects per month versus other industries are cutting back, are getting smaller, are reducing their staff, are reducing their marketing, are not coming out with new projects instead of per month, they might do it per quarter or per every 6 months or once a year, they might do it. Who do you think is going to win? The industry that's coming out with 25 new projects a month, or the one that does it once every 6 months or once every year? Like, crypto is going to be absolutely bananas. Like, well, as we get into this, because you just can't stop this. That's what happens.
It's too scalable and it's too cheap and it's too many possibilities, and that's what we're looking for. That's what the world's looking for. You know, you can put guys don't stop working just because. You know, like I'm ready to work. Everyone knows it. There's lots of guys that are ready to work. Everyone knows it. Times are turning. Helicopter money's gone, and everyone that's not prepared will suffer immensely. And everyone who is prepared will not suffer at all, because preparation's the only thing. If you know what's going to happen, you know what's going to happen. Like, the market's going to go back up. You need to scale your business. You need to get your love life handled or whatever, like with your girl or whatever. You got to be chill with it. You got to be 100% chill with it. But I have so much shit to do today, and I streamed for 8 hours yesterday.
So what are some of your, if you want to share them, what are some of your goals? For
my goals, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. It's probably like, and I had a couple more. Let me think. I want the full merch store and everything ready and to go, jazzed up, tightened up, buttoned up. And I want to start getting partners that align with my partners as in like sponsors and stuff that only align with like products that I actually use or products that I actually would like or recommend or think have good value or whatever. So I could start to like have, because really the problem with YouTube for me is like, yeah, I love doing this all day long. And yeah, I know I could be good at it, but it's not really pay you nothing unless other than the donations from people, which are amazing and really actually keep me going, frankly, because I got to do this every day and I got to prep, and I have pretty anal with myself. So I got to make sure I prep every time I do a show, and it takes hours, you know, it's all together. It takes hours. And so earning some sort of revenue while continuing to add value to the show would be ideal.
I love
That's
it.
on the goal list, but I want some partners that are great, like that'll give me money with no worries, and that I like their product with no worries.
Yes, yes, and where it's aligned, you believe in the product, you believe in the what the company and or brand or product or service or whatever actually is doing, because that's where you create the best collaborations. That's where you create the best.
What about you? Give us some.
I would like to add. I would like to get over $2 million in 2022 or 2023. That's whatever I end up finishing the year with. I would like to have 2023 be over $2 million. I'm starting another business. I'd like to really ramp that up. I might actually be 2 businesses. You had talked about Jack, and it was so accurate, where if you go through scaling of something, and I'm not saying that I did the same thing, but I've gone from where I was to scale up one business to a certain size. Now I can do the same thing in a fraction of that time to get a second business up there. And so that's what I'll be practicing on doing. Continue to increase passion, continue to increase intensity in my relationships, and build more relationships with people who are striving to be better in everything that they do in every way every day. Like that's just those are the type of relationships that I want. Improve my health. One of the things that I'd like to do health wise is I checked my blood work twice in 2 different parameters, but there's 1,000 different things to check in your blood work. I would like to amp that up to go to another level to improve health parameters even more, and at least paying attention to them and being aware of them.
Blood work's tricky because if you do it 3 times in a week, you can get some different, and then you start noticing that and you're like, damn it, I could double check, you know, like, because it's so nuanced with the blood work.
And there's so many different things to check. You can spend
if you sleep well this week, you're like, fuck, I didn't sleep for jack shit this week. Why did I get my blood work done? Like, you know, and then you realize, like, the first time I ever got testosterone from a doctor, when I was a young man, I was being reckless. I was lying to doctors, you know, and I didn't sleep for 2 days, and my testosterone was like nuked like a transsexual woman. But I mean, I was still ripped and like, you know, bigger than, you know, the average person. So it's interesting. It's like blood work is as sensitive as the human body is in every way. So, and now we're going down. I never get to talk about that shit anymore. I want to talk about that stuff more. If you guys like the health and fitness talk and you want us to do an episode on that soon,
if it's okay to go on a tangent right before we wrap things up,
please.
So BPC 157 peptide is natural in your gut. It's amazing for healing. One of the things that has also been shown to do is increase the expression of HGH. And basically, if you think about expression as just like the door for HGH is open wider, right? Which means it's a good thing. Okay. So I heard the theory that if you are going through and say utilizing HGH, which probably most of the people here are not, but if you
never either.
Or even a peptide or secretagogue for HGH.
I have used the secretagogue for HGH before, for sleep too.
So not that works better with BPC from the standpoint that it's actually a synergistic pair there.
Is there any other synergistic pairs with that? And I you know, there's a drug called bupropion that many take from their doctor. It's a dopamine reuptake inhibitor, and it's labeled as a non-stimulant ADHD medication. But I found that I stopped taking it a long time ago. It helps with some random stuff. It's not like depression related. It's more like energy related, and it counteracts specifically to make every other drug more sensitive within your system. So therefore, when you're taking that drug, the dosages that you take of your other drugs will inherently be double as powerful or some sort of substantially powerful. So it actually has the effect where you can take less of other drugs and get the same effect, therefore putting less stress on your body when you're doing certain things and still have, because it's all about, if you're taking anything, you want to take the least amount for the effective dose. What's the verbiage on that? Like the
minimum effective dose, basically.
Yeah, minimum effective dose. So your body doesn't take the heat, but you still get the pluses for it. Because the downstream, what do people do, Sam? They start eating Adderall all day, right? Oh, like, I'm the most productive dude on the planet. Of course you are. Wait for your dopamine downstream to get wrecked for 3 months. Afterwards, when you run out or you wake up or your girlfriend dumps you because you're jerking it too much, you have to stay regulated within your body and your emotions. And if something's taking you to another dimension, like if you're in another like realm of there will be downstream effects. I promise. I'm not saying it's downstream effects. I promise.
One of the other things with, I think of BPC is almost like if a pendulum, right? It swings to one side and that's the extreme, and then it swings to the other side and that's an extreme. So with BPC, from all of my personal experience and all the research I've read, it has like a modulating effect or the ability to regulate it. So if something's at one end of the extreme, it helps bring it back towards homeostasis. If it's at the other end, right, you're like, most drugs and or compounds will only help on one side. Well, what it appears with BPC is if it's on this side, it can still help bring it down. If it's over here, it's able, because it's working on many different pathways in your body, including dopamine and serotonin. So not that it's going to increase those, but it helps regulate.
Remember, receptor activity, nutrition, all these things matter. A lot of these drugs just open up avenues in your brain. A lot of these drugs that you get from the doctor, like Zoloft and stuff, really all they're doing is making one avenue open, and your receptor activity go through that with more ease. And what you're saying is this is almost like, what is everyone trying to find? A natural way to stay in between without having to inject your body with some long-term hormonal change, right? And that's what happens when people take Zoloft and all of these drugs, is that their body goes through a concrete change for a duration of time, and now you are another human being. And if you want to return to the human being that you were, you're going to have to go through 6 months of mental rehabilitation, because they forgot to remind you of the downstream effects of coming off of these substances. Oh, wait, they never even knew, because they don't take them and they trust the pharmaceutical companies. But I remember the first time I came off one of these meds, I was a kid, and I was like about to blow my brains out. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, no, what, your parents don't know what's going on. I'll tell you that. Dr. V-Ray with the super sticker, 70s are. What's up, V-Ray? You're my guy. Zen Goat, Dr. V-Ray. What's up?
There's a lot of different, I see vets in crypto here, just like acid, molly, and mushrooms. Yeah. So that you have many different things out there that affect your health or your mental state or whatever. And in my opinion, I think that BPC has so many valuable like additions to that whole pie, whether it's helping to regulate your dopamine and serotonin. That does not necessarily mean increasing it. If it's at an extreme low, it might be increasing it, but only to that point where it is healthy, where it is normal. The same thing seems to happen with the blood pressure. Plus it helps with, like you said, nutrition, right? It helps with the gut, right? So you can actually have an increase in your ability to absorb nutrients by helping in the gut. We can go on this path for a long time,
all day long, and it would be a great path to go. It's good stuff to think about. I'm going to play the exit video, and we're going to see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. You already know that. You know that I'll probably be on if anything pops off, but let's bring it out with some Zen FTs. The Zen burn, Zen Army was pumped up yesterday. Sam pulled up the analytics. We all had a good time. Happy New Year, everyone. Be safe. write your goals down, get back to work. Don't think today's some party day. What?
Yes.
It's a party day. What the fuck? Unless there's like some sick ass party and a total slayer babe is going and she's your girl. Like, get back to the books, baby.